Dad's got another tattoo!
Hello and welcome to Mum, Dad's Got Another Tattoo, the first ever episode of the podcast that looks to navigate its way through midlife. I'm joined by my co-host Richard.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm very excited actually.
Yeah.
I've got a draft title of this called Why Are We Here? Now, this is not the grand existential crisis, although midlife crises sometimes can be existential. But this is what are we doing here in this podcast? What do we want to achieve?
Or what are we what are we doing here? You know,
What are we doing? What are we doing here? And and I don't know if anyone has embarked on some of these stereotypically midlife crisis activities. I'm sure we'll get into those. But what am I doing is often a question that we ask and then go ahead and do it anyway. But what are we doing?
well, it's for me. I think it's about our journey through middle age and not the unusual things we're doing, but the things that may seem unusual to other people and why it makes sense to us. And I think that's the way I'm going to navigate. I mean, my way of thinking for me personally has never been linear, and it's just about putting all that together and also just discussing it with people, like-minded people in the same situation.
So, yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. And I want to explore whatever it is we're feeling, because it's definitely something. Something that's driving us, and I also want to encourage whatever community that we're able to establish here to explore whatever this is in a healthy way. And what do I mean by healthy? I guess is that, if you take like some of the more stereotypical midlife crisis things, like your marriage breaks down. Now, no judgment there, that can happen. Relationships come to an end, but I think they can do so in a healthy way where two people realise that perhaps they'll be happier apart, or they can be done in an unhealthy way where a man makes a joke in a lift, the 24-year-old intern laughs at it, and he imagines this wild, passionate relationship and then goes and blows up his life for that, only to regret it 3 to 6 months later. That's on the unhealthy side.
Or you rock up at home on a Honda Goldwing and the missus goes absolutely spare.
Yeah, well, she may do, but if you are going to buy a motorbike, learn how to ride it instead of driving it into the nearest tree.
Yeah, that helps.
So that's one of the things that I want to do, and also just want to look at health, wellness, hobbies, I guess, for want of a better word, in more detail, and just explore what it is that. Some people will be taking theirs to the next level, and others will be introduced to them for the first time. And it'd be just great to hear, I'm going to give my perspective, your perspective. Hopefully we'll get others as well to join in and understand what that looks like. Gadgets, fitness trends, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah. And we've had quite a journey with the fitness.
Yeah, well, sort of a roller coaster in the very truest sense, in the fact that it goes up and down, and has basically ended up in the same place as we started. So I've got a list of things here that I think we're going to cover in general and maybe more specifically. I've got relationships, sex, marriage, testosterone, golf, tattoos, health, cryonics, vinyl records, cycling, biohacking, wearables, and erection monitoring.
Quite a range. I'm looking forward to it.
That last one, I saw a little eyebrow raised there for.
I mean,
maybe not to explore immediately, but.
I mean, you're always monitoring your erection. Let's be honest.
Well, some people go to much greater lengths, I have discovered in my preparation for this.
Is this to do with the gentleman and his son?
Yeah. Yes.
I was talking about that the other day. That's insane, but that's one we'll cover.
We'll cover. Maybe we should dedicate a whole episode to Brian Johnson, the tech guy, not the lead singer of AC/DC, who's probably done less to increase his longevity.
I imagine he's got a binder with a picture of every erection he's ever had. To be Brian Johnson.
Which Brian Johnson are we talking about?
Both. Both.
Maybe. I don't. AC/DC Brian Johnson doesn't strike me as a great record keep. Well, he's a great keeper of records, but I don't know whether he writes a lot of stuff
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Dictation's probably not his strong point.
No, indeed. So I want to think about, why do you think people have midlife crises? I mean, is it something that is there a conscious feeling that you have that you're reacting to, or is there something else that you're not entirely sure what it is?
No, I mean, when you're watching stuff or listening to stuff, people have this. I mean, I listen to other podcasts, and there's so many people are fixated on getting old, and that, to me personally, that doesn't bother me. And this whole march of time and impending death, that's never worried me. I just think it's where do I fit right now? And life changes so much, and before you look around, you go, oh, all those things I used to do, I no longer do, and all those things I used to be able to do, more importantly, I can't do them anymore. And it's right, where do I fit in now, and what am I going to do now? And it starts that process thinking, what am I into now? Because that changes so much.
Yeah, it does change.
And what excitement can I get from the position I'm in? That's the way I see it.
How connected do you feel to like your 20 and 30-year-old version of yourself? Because for me, I think that is, I do feel connected to some degree to like the hopes and dreams of that person. Obviously, they've changed and evolved as time's gone on, but they're pretty much the same. And I wonder whether that is the genesis of that, whereas you are still connected to this younger version of yourself, although there is a clear contrast with today's version.
Yeah. No, it's definitely mentally. I still feel like I'm 20. You're 21 in your head. That's men in general. You feel like you're 21 in your head, but the responsibilities are there: wife, kids, job, schedule, everything that comes with it. And it's managing all that, but making time to make yourself happy and giving yourself time. And I think that's the key to it. So many people get caught up in, and to be perfectly honest, it's something I'm noticing more and more, where work is taking control of so much. You need that release, whatever that may be, whether it's going out, riding 5 motorbikes, getting tattoos, whatever it is, everybody needs it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And men's roles are changing as well. I mean, we as a generation are doing far much more childcare than our parents' generation ever did. I think that's a good thing. But then the work element of it hasn't gone away to make room for that. So I guess like back in the day when, you'd come home, you'd have your dinner ready, you'd spend all day at the golf club at a weekend.
Go down the pub for a pint when the missus stays at home.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff has gone. And I mean, I don't mourn the death of that kind of culture at all. But I do think there is something in the space in which we've got to operate and, do stuff for yourself is a lot smaller than it used to be.
Yeah, and it's spinning all the plates. It is, you can plan so much, but life changes that. Life just is fluid, and that's what you've got to deal with. And everyone's just got to find that way to make themselves happy without, and that's the real trick, upsetting everyone else, family, friends. That's the balance. And some people, listen, everyone has their own thing. No one's right, no one's wrong.
Well, some people are wrong.
I was thinking Jeffrey Dahmer popped in my head just then, and I thought, you're stepping over the mark there a little bit.
Are you saying that his serial killing was as a result of a midlife crisis, or do you think something else was going on?
I think there might be something else going on there, yeah. But as long as you're happy and everyone else around you's happy, do what you want to do. If you're not hurting anyone, do what you want to do.
No, I'd agree with that. And so I think that fluidity as well is one of the reasons for a midlife crisis, because I find that lots of my relationships across work, professional life, family life and friends are all changing, and they're all changing at the same time in a way that they hadn't before. So, if you have children, they're growing up, they're getting older, and their requirements of you are changing pretty much all the time. So there's people our age have got younger children going to school, primary school children, maybe people doing their GCSEs at secondary school, making that transition, or even going to university and leaving home. That's your relationship with them is changing, and it changes all the time. But at the same time to that, I guess you've got changes going on in your friendship group as well, whether, people are either more or less available, things are happening in their personal life that sort of seeps out, and you get a view of that, and it influences your own thoughts as well.
Massively. I mean, from our friends group, how everyone has changed so much in the last 18 months. So much has changed, and how much you see everyone, how you can see how someone else is changing, because you get snapshot rather than being there day in, day out, seeing that gradual process. When you're dipping in and out every few days, every few weeks, every few months, whatever it is, you get to see a section of that time, and you get to see, oh, they've changed this, or they've started doing this, and it's quite noticeable. Where probably to the people around, it's a very gradual thing.
Yeah, that's a great place. It's like looking at a cloud, isn't it? It barely changes when you stare at it, but if you look away and look back, it goes from like a rhinoceros to Mickey Mouse riding a pony. Or
I love looking at clouds.
Is that one of the hobbies?
That's one of my midlife crises.
Looking at clouds. Well, you're trying to make yourself look contemplative and deep in thought, and you're just looking at a cloud.
Looking yonder out my office window.
Well, you mentioned like how other things have changed as well. I think that's another one of the relationships that does change, the one with your partner. For some people, that journey is coming to an end. Others will be in a new one. If you've been in a long-term relationship, that's always evolving. And as we reach this time of our lives as well, if you're married to a woman, then they may be going through their own midlife issues, which definitely, in my experience, seep onto the shores of my life as well. But then it expands to your professional life as well. Maybe you've started a business for the first time, or if you're in more corporate setting, you're probably more experienced, probably more senior. And what I've noticed as well, which I find as most disconcerting, is that there's this whole generation of adults who are younger than you, who are very clearly not in your generation. And some of these people are not young. There'll be Gen Zs entering its 30s now. They're not young people, and yet they're younger than you and of a completely different generation, and find managing their expectations of life and how they approach work and relationships as well is really different. And it's I don't want to start. That's one of the things I do want to avoid in this, is like moaning about your knees and your ankles and whether you can put your socks on standing up or not, and be moaning about the youth of today, they don't know, because the people older than us, I'm sure they were saying that about us in their 20s, about being work shy and just wanting to go out all the time.
They go, shut up, you mug. Yeah, they're doing the same to us. And I'd just like to point out, now I'm not a fatty bum bum, I can put my socks on standing up. So thank you very much.
Is that what it is? So it's not age at all. It's just
I'm not as fat as I was. Simple. I'm very nimble, actually. Quite spry still.
It's a shame this is just an audio medium at the moment for people to see quite how lithe you are.
Oh yeah, with the greying hair.
Yeah, and again, another more visual element. And I guess your relationship with your parents change as well. I mean, for some people, they won't be around anymore, and that's a transition that you have to make. And I always think as well, we're reaching that age where there's almost a handover in responsibility, because for many years, of course, they were responsible for you and guiding you through life. And now I'm finding that it's more the other way around. I mean, my mum and dad are pretty good at the moment, actually, and we're not really near to that handover of responsibility. And they're pretty active, and I think they're doing pretty good. Maybe we shouldn't be too surprised about that. They're the first generation of teenagers growing up in the 60s and having some degree of independence. If I think back to my grandparents, they appeared to like if you look at photos and what they were wearing and how they lived their life, they seem to turn 18 and then immediately turn into their parent, where they stay. I don't think my granddad changed his style or anything for about 60 years.
No, beige cardigans, brown cardigans, always trousers.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. But yeah, but you listen, there was something about that generation. I don't know whether it was the diet, the way they were brought up. I mean, my favourite thing is getting a 70s footballer and guessing his age. And then they're always looking in their mid-40s and they're in their mid-20s. It's one of my favourite things. I love that. But I think where the exposure, and starting with the 60s, I think they had all the movement started, rock and roll. It opened up so much more. And there was more to life than just working and family. And I don't know, to a degree, there would have been that before, but they wanted to explore, to go and do stuff, to see stuff, to experience stuff. Drugs came into it as well. That's when it all started. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, that is why I'm more surprised at the sort of beginning of that handover of responsibility. I thought they want to keep it a little bit more off that. I mean, I'm talking from a very narrow sample set here, but they do. There is that sort of degree of independence. But how does I've bought a new iPad. How does it work?
Oh yeah. Yesterday, my dad, as you know, was Derek Trotter to a T. Yesterday, I had to drive him to the hospital for an injection in his eye.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
Once every 3 months, these things are. He's used to it now. They put drops in, they inject it, because Mum's had an operation on her finger and can't drive. So I'm like, and then I have to leave them there. You're right. Phone me. We're ready to be picked up now. And I have to drive. And I'm like, I'm now the driver. Where back in the day, she used to pick us up and take us everywhere. You give him back.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're happy to do that. But
absolutely.
I'm surprised at the how easily this has come to them. Like, I don't drive on motorways. I don't drive at night. All this sort of stuff has come to the fore because they were more independently minded. They have adapted with fashion and trends and technology in a way that their parents didn't. Like, my grandparents really had trouble with voicemail, and literally could not understand that the person saying please leave a message was a recorded message. Like, just would not go in their mind. I tried talking to that woman who's it's not a woman, it's a recording, right? That was the sort. My parents are way beyond that. However, there does seem to be some sort of block in the road where they just put their hands up and say no more.
Oh, it's antivirus. My dad doesn't do it online. No. He has to get phone calls from a cafe, right? 3 months before it's due to expire, I start getting text messages. Don't forget, you've got to do my antivirus. And then he tells me his computer's slowing down. So I've got to go around there. Quite frankly, from some of those pop-ups, I do not want to imagine what he's looking at when Mum's in bed. I won't ask him. I try not to think about it, but then I have to sort his PC out. God only knows.
Right, we'll draw a veil. But I think it's something worth mentioning, because we're talking about the reduction in space that we have for ourselves. That is part of it as well, like the demands from. So it feels like there's demands from, like, lateral demands from your friends and your partner, demands coming from below in terms of either work or children or whatever it is, and also above, where your parents are becoming more reliant on you. And I don't begrudge doing any of it, or being subject to that. Very lucky position to be able to say these things. But, and this is one of those things, despite the fact we're two middle-aged blokes who are probably as privileged as it's possible to get, still we feel like this, and still all these things that we want to explore are real. We feel them, and we need to explore them, despite the fact that we know that there are people not as lucky, that other people have things a lot harder in terms of their professional life or their personal life or even just existing. We know that, right? And I don't want to diminish that, but there's plenty of other spaces for people to explore that.
Sometimes, I know it's selfish.
This is our little corner.
When it's all going on, you just think, what about me? You do. I do. Oh, I don't. Oh, and I do. Sometimes I think, oh, can I go and play golf? First mention, by the way, not bad. 20 minutes, 40 seconds. That's pretty good. Sometimes I just need 4 hours on a golf course, even if the boys can't play. I love playing with them because we have a great laugh. Sometimes I can go and put my headphones on and go out there and be alone. The headphones just stop the voices, but it's yeah. As I'm getting older, I realise, I don't know whether it's being an only child, which is a whole other kettle of fish, but I need to be alone at times. I need to be alone.
Do you find the reaction
Yeah.
to that a bit different? I'm gonna sort of generate a bit of a stereotype here, but
Yeah.
when I go out without my wife, there is, and I'm not saying that I need to do anything. I don't need to ask permission or anything like that. But there is like a set of questions and criteria that I need to fulfill, I would say.
Checklist is a checklist. There definitely is a checklist.
Including finding out about your and everyone else's life, which I systematically fail to do. However, and there's always a bit, I don't really want to be left on my own, and it could be lots of different reasons for that. When she tells me that she's going out, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
It's the best. It's the best.
I don't want to live on my own. I don't want her to leave, but every now and then.
Patrice O'Neill, the late great Patrice O'Neill, one of the finest comedians that ever existed, does the best routine on this. He says, I want to be with you, but I don't want you around me. You know what I mean? I want you there, but just not in my space.
Sometimes we just need to, put a little bit of fencing up, metaphorical fencing, and have that space and watch a Danny Dyer film.
Amanda has had. She's going away with the horses and some friends to a camping thing for 3 days in May. They've had this book since November. I'm a disorganised person in every part of my life. I'm trying to get better. Whether it's going to happen, don't know. Let me tell you something. Since November, I know exactly what I'm doing on those 3 days down to the minute.
And what are you doing? What you got planned?
Well, it's get up in the morning, walk the dogs, golf course, takeaway, and then probably repeat that twice. And then on the Sunday, it is sport all day. There's football on, there's golf on. I'm going to sit there in my pants. That is a lovely weekend for me.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well. Sometimes being on your own, not doing anything. Well, I say not doing anything. That's the wrong way to do it. Sometimes you say, while you're sitting there not doing anything, I am doing something. I'm watching this. I am doing something. It's just not in the approved list of things.
I don't want to get, Bernard Manning. Oh, my wife. But I don't know if it's just Amanda or whatever. Doing nothing is a cardinal sin. Sitting down in the day is just, it doesn't happen. 16 years, never happened. You can't just, on a weekend, should we do nothing today? It doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things about COVID. I'll come onto that as well. So it released us from the tyranny of having to do or go anywhere.
And so the weather was a business.
Yeah. So apart from all the death and suffering and hardship and not seeing your family and friends and being able to celebrate life and going to weddings and funerals and christenings, apart from all that, I quite liked COVID. I quite like lockdown. And maybe we should have like every 10 years we should just all have a month where we don't go anywhere.
That would be lovely. But I tell you something, you popped in there, maybe just me, christenings, weddings, stuff like that. I can't do it anymore. The big public functions. Let me go and see my friends. I've known, it's like, she said to me about 6 months ago, you know what, since you've been down here, you've made very few friends. I said, I don't want any more friends. I've got my friends. I don't need any more friends.
I had a very
curmudgeonly, I know.
No. I had a very similar conversation because there's some new people at school, and at the school gate. And I'm quite happy to be friends with them in a sort of at the school gate way and make all the small talk. But for that to happen, I've got to lose some people. I've got to lose some, not from the top tier, obviously, and not from the small talkers. I'm at capacity now. I am at
Diamond League
capacity.
level.
Yeah. Down in the lower divisions, I am at capacity. I cannot have any more conversations with people with whom I've got almost nothing in common except for the fact our children go to the same school. It's not only people at school, at the school gates, it's everywhere. You know who they are. We don't have to write down who these people are. You know who they are. Pick the ones we're not going to talk to anymore, because if you want these in your life, other people have got to go.
You should get a dartboard for pictures. Leave it to the arrows. Which one? Who stays? Who goes?
Well, no, I like to leave it to who makes you feel the best, and because you know sometimes you like you bumped into someone, and you think, oh God, here we go. Like, how am I going to get through the next 8 minutes of conversation with this person? I literally have got nothing in common with whatsoever. Yeah. They're unavoidable. They're unavoidable. But I do not have to go to events and parties, probably too strong a word here, but no, I'm at capacity. So pick who we're not going to talk to in future. Pick whose events we are just going to zone out and say no, we're not going, and that'll be it.
Yeah, total agreement. Like I don't have space for it. It does sound like, oh, bloody hell, this is a middle-aged podcast, isn't it? I don't have time for it. And all that level of people, it's like a script. They get the same shit. Every one of them will get the same convo. Get in, get it done, get out.
So I've got a number of conversation exiters. How to get out of this without leaving an awkward silence. A phrase that acknowledges what they've said, but also says that's the end of that, rather than, God forbid, leave some more space for more of it.
You put a full stop on it.
Exactly what you need to do. And
my brother-in-law's brilliant. My brother-in-law has no problem. He will just walk away. No problem at all.
Yeah, see, I'm going to put that in. Is that unhealthy or healthy, of just like turning on your heel and walking away? I mean, I'm massively envious of somebody who's able to do that, but I do not have the gumption to do that.
No, I'm a people pleaser, and I would be up all night thinking about it. I get little sleep as it is, and that would ruin the little I do get.
Well, we're talking about full stops. We're coming up to half an hour now. Is there anything else we want to explore about why we're here, or are we done for now? I noticed we haven't yet dived into erection monitoring, but you know, you can't give all the good stuff in the first episode.
I mean, when I get caught on the laptop and there's something salacious on there, I will say I'm merely doing research on I'm monitoring erections. So I will do some homework on that. Let's leave that for next time.
Okay.
Deep research.
Okay. Well, that is episode 1 in the can, I think. Join us next time, where I guess we'll explore whether Rich or me are having a midlife crisis, what we're doing about it, how it's manifesting, and it'll be great to hear from you as well.
Spoiler alert, we are.
Yeah, indeed. So until then, see you soon. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Mom, Dad's got another tattoo.